Hello everybody, welcome back to Girl Plus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Jordan and today's video is going to be an overview and an introduction to Seed Starting 101. Over the next several weeks, I'll be showing you the exact steps of my process, giving you in-depth tutorials, and also sharing advice that I have learned, tips and tricks that I've gained over the last several years to give you the best chance and opportunity to be successful if you too decide to start your seeds indoors. This series will run until I get my vegetable plants planted out into the late spring/summer garden. So I'll be taking you through every single step, showing you everything to make sure that you're successful over the next several weeks and making sure I provide as much information as possible. As always, if any questions, concerns arise, let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to address them. So as I stated a bit ago, this is going to be an overview, which I've pretty much given already, and an introduction. And what we're going to start with is pretty much just what you need to get started with beginning your seedlings or your vegetable plants indoors. The first three items I'm going to show you are really the most crucial items in this process, because without these, you really can't start seeds or begin your vegetable plants indoors. So number one is going to be a seed starting mix. This is my tried and true. I've been using this specific seed starting mix since I started my garden. I do have plans to create my own seed starting mix myself, and I will put up a basic and generic recipe on the screen so you guys can see what that looks like. Also, you can simply Google that or even look up some videos on YouTube. There are tons of creators who have shared their personal recipes, but for now I am going to stick with my Jiffy seed starting mix until I gather the materials I need to start my own. So number one again is seed starting mix. The second item that I'm going to show you is going to be a container of some sort. Now you have lots of options when it comes to containers that you specifically use to start your seeds in. I to that say use what is most readily available to you and most accessible to you. I have a seed starting kit. I recently purchased the seed starting bundle from Bootstrap Farmer. So it comes with lots of different types of containers and trays, which I'll go show some of those things as well here in the next few moments. But as far as containers go, you can get multiple cell trays. This is a 6-cell tray that I have here right now. They have 72 cell trays. I think they might even go higher than 72 cell trays. You can also get singular pots, or you can use something like this. I picked these up from Walmart before I got my seed starting kit from Bootstrap Farmer. These are just plastic cups from Walmart. Obviously with plastic cups, you're going to have to create a hole in the bottom. What you don't want to do is have your plants in a container that's completely closed off like this, because that is going to create a greater possibility for your plants to rot, the roots of the plants to rot, which will eventually damage the plant itself. It will also just allow the soil and the growing medium to stay wet, which can breed mold and attract pests like fungus gnats, which just don't do or work out best for the overall health and strength of your plants. So you want to make sure you find some way to puncture a hole or create a hole in the bottom of any sort of container that you're going to be using to plant your seeds in, to ensure that your plant can have drainage, that growing medium can have drainage as you continue to nurture and grow the plant that will be in here. With these specifically, I used a hot glue gun to create a hole. I just used the tip of the hot glue gun to create a hole in the bottom of these cups. I've also used nails or screws before and just kind of hammered holes into a short stack of cups. I've also seen people use drills and drill bits to drill holes, again, into a stack of cups. So again, use what works best for you and what is most accessible. Just make sure that whatever container you're going to use, that you ensure that there are drainage holes for that plant and that growing medium. You can also use something like berry containers from the store. I have actually done that before, where I've taken the bottom of the berry container, I've just cut the plastic top off of the berry container, so I just have the bottom portion. If they have any of those spongy things that they tend to have sometimes in like your raspberry and your blackberry containers, take that out and discard it, and then you will have a bottom that has actually usually a bunch of drainage holes. So again, be resourceful, use what's available to you and what's most accessible. But again, the number 2 thing you're going to need is some sort of container to hold your growing medium and your plants. Probably the most important thing you're going to need is your seeds. Obviously, without your seeds, you won't be able to start any plants. So ensure that you have all of the seeds that you plan to start ready and available to you so that you can begin once you've gathered the rest of your materials. The next thing I'm going to show you is this right here, which is a 10-20 tray. This came in my kit that I got from the Bootstrap Farmer, but 10-20 trays, ones that do not have holes in the bottom. I'll flip it on the other side so you can see that there are no holes. This is what you're going to want to put whatever containers that are holding your seeds and your plants in, so that you can bottom water your plant starts. Bottom watering is going to, again, just create the best chance for success. When you top water, you can create a greater likeliness of damping off. Is it damping off or dampening off? One of them. But it's basically where the stem of your plant just stays too wet for too long and basically the plant rots. Top watering can also cause bacteria from the growing medium to splash up onto your plants, which could cause your plants to become sick or diseased. And again, it just doesn't create the best environment for your seedlings. So you want to get some kind of closed off tray or container to place your plant or seedling containers into, so that you can just place the water into the tray and allow your plant starts to soak up the water from their drainage hole into their individual containers. Again, if you cannot find something like this, or something like this is not accessible to you, use an alternative. Find something that could work just like this, even if it's not exactly like this, again, to just assist with your overall process and giving yourself the best opportunity for success. The next thing you're going to want is something to help you label your plants. Now for this, you have lots of different options. I personally, when I was beginning, before I went to popsicle sticks, I would use tape, and I would wrap tape around each of my individual containers or cells and label them with whatever plants or seeds I had placed into that specific container, just to ensure that I didn't lose track of what I had planted where. So that's probably the most accessible option, which is why I mentioned it first. For that, you simply need some form of tape and a marker. Pens and pencils could work on tape, but they might not show up as well, or they might smear off. So for the tape option, I would recommend the pen as the best option to write on the tape specifically. As I mentioned before, I've also used popsicle sticks. Popsicle sticks is something that's generally pretty cheap. I used to use the small one for my smaller starts, so like my 6-cell trays, or if I was using a 72-cell tray, I would use the smaller popsicle sticks. And generally, the smaller you go with the popsicle sticks, the more you get in the pack. For the popsicle sticks, I would use some kind of marker, whether it's a regular marker or a permanent marker, to ensure that I'm able to label them appropriately. A pen may work. Pencil is probably going to not work so well. You may get it to work. I haven't tried it, but again, if you can, I would have a marker handy to use on that popsicle sticks if a pen or a pencil doesn't work so great. What I'm currently using to label my seed starts are these plant labels. These are reusable plant labels. I believe I found these in Lowe's when I first got them. I recently picked these up at Walmart. Again, if this is something you're able to purchase, I personally prefer these now in my own seed starting and gardening journey because they are reusable. So for these specifically, I use pencil on them, so that way for the next growing season or the next set of seedlings that I begin, I'm pretty much able to wash or erase that pencil marking off and place a new label on the reusable labels as necessary. Again, that's my personal preference now, mainly because they're reusable. I do not have to go out and keep purchasing more popsicle sticks or more tape, as long as I keep track of where my reusable labels are. And again, it is important to use pencil. I have not tried or seen anyone try to use pen or marker on these, so I do not know if those will work out and if they will be as reusable if you use something like pen or marker on these. So I personally would recommend pencil unless you experience or you've seen someone else show that pen or marker works well on these and allows them to still be just as reusable. Next up, you're going to want some sort of container to place your growing medium in. I just simply have a plastic container with a lid here with me. I've used bowls before. I've used those big storage buckets before. So depending on how much seed starting mix you're planning to use will help you decide what kind of container you're going to want to use or maybe prefer to use for optimization. Again, use what is most readily available and accessible to you. You do not have to make it complicated. It does not have to be complex. You just want something to place your seed starting mix into so that you can wet it before you pack it into your containers. The next thing I'm going to be showing you is another one of the most important things you're going to need when starting your seeds indoors, and that is going to be light. Now, can you start your seeds in a sunny window? Yes, it's possible, but will it give you the highest chance of success in growing strong and healthy seedlings or plant starts? Not so much. What you're going to want to use is some kind of light. What I have here in front of me are the lights I bought when I first began my gardening journey. And these are simply like shop light style grow lights. There are so many different forms and styles of grow lights these days, especially. You can even DIY your own light setup. So there are lots of different options, but one thing you want to do is ensure that you have a light that is bright enough and strong enough. I will put on the screen the specific criteria that you want to look out for when you are selecting your lights for your plants. Mainly, you want to ensure again that the light is bright enough and that it will also create some warmth. These lights that I have here with me do both of those. They are bright enough for my seedlings and they create warmth. When they've been long enough, you can literally feel the warmth and heat radiating off of the lights. They're not so hot that you can't touch them, but they do get warm, and both of those things are key to, again, helping ensure that you grow strong and healthy plants. Some kind of fertilizer is going to be a crucial part of making sure that your plants stay healthy for as long as you have them indoors and before you transplant them outside. There are tons of different options as far as fertilizers. You can use liquid fertilizers, you can use granular fertilizers, but the main thing is you just want to ensure that you have something, especially if you are using a sterile seed starting mix as your growing medium. Sterile seed starting mixes do not have any sort of nutrients within them. They are, as they say, sterile, blank slates, empty. It's just the growing medium and whatever they've added as far as materials to help aerate and also retain water within that growing medium. You want to make sure that you pick a fertilizer so that you can provide your plants with nutrients for as long as you have them indoors. When plants are outside, especially if they're planted directly into the ground, they are able to take up nutrients and minerals from the soil that they are in. Even being planted in garden beds, most gardeners know that you want to ensure that your soil is rich so that your plants can get the nutrients they need to grow strong and healthy. Fertilizer is going to make sure your plants can continue to be healthy and strong as long as they're indoors. Most seed starts or plant starts will be inside anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks, depending on your area or when you decide to start your plants. So you want to ensure that for that period of time that they are inside, they can get what they need to continue to grow healthy and strong. What you will see, especially if you're using a sterile seed starting mix, is that your plants will begin to yellow and just overall decline in health because there are no additional nutrients that they can take up and soak up from the growing medium that they are in. So by adding a fertilizer of some sort will allow you to continue to help your plants grow healthy and strong, and make sure that once they are ready to grow outside, once you transplant them, that they are in good shape and in good health to continue to flourish and thrive and produce in the ways that you want them to. The next couple of things I'm going to show you are some optional items. So the first one being a trowel or shovel of some sort to help you scoop or collect your seed starting mix as you're packing them into your containers. Obviously, you can use your hands. You can also use a cup, anything to scoop up the seed starting mix and help you pour it into whatever container you're using to start your plants in. And the second thing being gloves. Again, very optional, but just wanted to throw it in there as a reminder. I personally just use my hands and get my hands dirty, but everybody may not want to do that. So remember, you can use gloves if you want to do so. Another optional item to add to your seed starting supply list is going to be a timer. I personally use a timer for my light setup just to assist with the precision of my lighting process. A timer allows me to make sure my lights come on at a certain time and they stay on for a certain period of time. Typically, the range of time you're going to want your lights to stay on for your seedlings or your plant starts is going to be between 12 and 16 hours. Depending on the type of plant, is going to help you decide on where in that range you want to be, but really the midpoint is a great point to be and honestly stay at. The last thing I'll be mentioning for this video as far as supplies go is going to be some sort of station or growing area. I start my seedlings or place them on a metal rack that I have set up in my garage. There are tons of different types and styles of racks that you can choose from if you go that route, or if you have some setup or area in your house where you can have the lights set up above where your plants will be sitting, that could also be an option as well. You just want to ensure that your lights can sit above your containers where your seeds and your plants will be coming up out of, so that they can get the light that they need as they're continuing to go through their growing journey indoors. So that's going to be it as far as your supply list for starting your seeds indoors. I will provide a full list of everything I mentioned in the video in the description box below. None of these products that I've shown today are sponsored in any way. They are either products that I've been using throughout my journey that I love, or products that I'm interested in seeing how they will work for me and my journey and my personal environment. Be sure to subscribe so that you can be the first to see when I post the remaining videos in this series. The next video is going to be a hands-on seed starting video, so showing you again my exact process and what it looks like when I personally start my seeds. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, be sure to leave them below this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.